Yeah, sorry, this is a micro-Japanese size. I mean, they need some skill to fix this. Okay, great, thank you. それでは、本日
I am delighted to be able to hold
大変嬉しく思っております。特別戦略的グローバル
Japan places great importance on our relationship with India. India is a special strategic and global partner for Japan in the world. The international order is meeting various challenges, that there is increasing need for our two countries to work in partnership and cooperation. When we look at the international community, needless to say, obviously, there are the aggression by Russia against Ukraine, but in the East and South China Seas, the unilateral attempts to change the status quo using force are continuing. And more recently, North Korea has been actively engaged in nuclear and missile activities, and China has conducted live ammunition exercise on the Taiwan Strait as well as in the surrounding region. And especially the last month, the Chinese ballistic missiles have fallen in the near seas of Japan, including EEZ. And I would like to once again strongly condemn the act, because it is a grave issue to do with the Japanese security as well as the safety of our people. And as in the Indo-Pacific as well as in the beyond region, there are many challenges faced by us. And today we would like to share the awareness of the situation for the regional security, so that we will be able to link to the concrete cooperation. I would like to have frank exchange of views on the regional and international developments. I would like to ask Minister Hamada and then on the Indian side to speak.
Following the very fruitful defense ministers meeting we had this morning, it is a pleasure to be able to hold this 2+2 meeting. Despite the pandemic, cooperation and exchange between the defense authorities of our two countries have continued to expand through frequent bilateral and multilateral joint trainings and other activities. In order to
And you're getting those live visuals for you from Tokyo, of the 2+2 India-Japan dialogue that has begun in the Japanese capital. And Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar participating on India's side, representing India. Abhishek, our senior executive editor, joining us here to tell us about the significance. Abhishek, breaking news now, the India-Japan 2+2 dialogue begins in Tokyo. Take us through the agenda, the significance of the meet as it begins.
Well, Rukma, so this 2+2 dialogue format where Foreign Minister and Defense Minister of India engage with their respective counterparts together exists with just about half a dozen odd nations in the world. So apart from the United States, for example, Australia, Russia, and I believe just Japan. So this is significant also because it is happening within 5 months of a bilateral annual summit between India and Japan, for which Prime Minister Kishida had traveled to New Delhi. In fact, remember in the month.
Second, India-Japan 2+2 dialogue in Tokyo. At the outset, let me extend heartfelt condolences on the sad demise of His Excellency Shinzo Abe. Mr. Abe's contributions were significant in elevating the India-Japan relationship. India stands in solidarity with the people of Japan as they recover from this loss. Excellencies, there has been significant progress in our bilateral relations in recent times. Both countries have had a long history of cultural and civilizational ties. As two thriving democracies in Asia, we are pursuing a special strategic and global partnership. This year, we are celebrating 70 years of our diplomatic relations, and we are honored to hold an event to commemorate this in December in New Delhi, where personnel from both of our ground forces will come together for the show of Indian tent pegging and yabusame, the traditional Japanese horseback archery. Excellency, there is a strong consensus in India on the importance of advancing this partnership in all areas. I am keen to further deepen and strengthen our bilateral relations. I look forward to comprehensive discussions today on the challenges and opportunities the current times pose for us. Thank you very much.
Excellencies, thank you for extending a warm welcome and hosting us today at the second India-Japan 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue. Today's meeting demonstrates our commitment towards deepening our bilateral security and defense cooperation, and also demonstrating the strength of our special strategic and global partnership. I reiterate the sincere condolences on the demise of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, which was expressed by the Defense Minister. Excellencies, India-Japan partnership is a partnership of immense importance. It is rooted in our shared values of democracy, freedom, and respect for rule of law. The strategic aspects of the relationship has gained new meaning in recent years, reflected in our recent bilateral and plurilateral engagements. The recent meeting of our leaders reaffirmed the continuity and strength of our relationship. We have witnessed in recent times very serious developments, especially since our last meeting in 2019. The COVID pandemic and ongoing conflicts demand that we address these new challenges.
And we go back once again to our senior executive editor, Abhishek. Abhishek, you were speaking about the significance, the 2+2 dialogue underway. We just listened to the defense minister about what he hoped for from this particular dialogue this year. It's a new world after the pandemic, after those lockdowns and the massive losses that most countries economically have faced. It's over to you to take us through, to continue what you were telling us about the significance and put this particular dialogue into perspective for this year.
Well, Rukma, so what I was saying was that this 2+2 dialogue format exists between India and just about half a dozen odd nations, including the United States and Australia, the Quad nations. There have been high-level exchanges this year. Prime Minister Modi traveled to Tokyo for the Quad summit, and then before that, Prime Minister Kishida was in India for the annual Indo-Japan summit. But more importantly, this 2+2 dialogue format, which focuses on strategic imperatives and the emerging geopolitical situation, gains significance because it's happening in the backdrop of the Taiwan crisis and the standoff that we are seeing between China and Taiwan, and in fact between China and the United States. So there are security imperatives of that development, and in that context, for the top leaders of the two nations to really, come together and discuss the situation gains salience. Remember when Quad Summit was happening at that time, the Chinese had, along with the Russians, carried out a combat air patrol, crossing the maritime boundary, and that really, the exclusive economic zone, not the maritime boundary, and that really shows the kind of tensions that are there in the region, right from up there between the borders of Japan in the seas with Russia and China, and then down in the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea and beyond. So I think the fact that Japan has taken a really tough position against the Chinese militarism and aggression over the last couple of years helps the cause that the two nations come together, like in many other platforms, and discuss strategy jointly to take on the Chinese aggression in the region. So I think what is important is, Rukma, that this dialogue is happening in the backdrop of the Taiwan crisis, and then there would be notes to exchange. But apart from that, as Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and after him the External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar mentioned, that India-Japan partnership is very deep, and it's a strategic, special relationship that exists between the two sides and has to be taken forward in all its dimensions. Remember when Prime Minister Kishida had traveled to New Delhi, he had spoken about almost $30 to $35 billion worth of investment over the next 4 or 5 years. 5 trillion yen is the figure that he had put, which translates into about $35 billion and upwards of 3 lakh crore rupees. So I think that aspect is also there which is on the table. And since the Defense Minister and External Affairs Minister are there, their overall geostrategic, geopolitical situation, the impact of the war in Europe, the standoff with China, between the United States and China, and of course the standoff between India and China in Ladakh, and of course the manner in which the Chinese have been pushing through the maritime boundaries of Japan. All those things on the table between the two sides when these talks take place.
Right, Abhishek. So many thanks for putting that into perspective. So even as we speak, we are getting you those visuals of the 2+2 dialogue between India and Japan currently underway in Tokyo. The dialogue has begun. And just a short while back, we heard the Defense Minister and the External Affairs Minister of India speak, both of them expressing their hope for the dialogue this year.